Okay, now you know how to make a strawberry salsa or any kind of fruit salsa. Now I'm going to show you tomatillo and a fresh onion salsa that's more of a Mediterranean style. Okay, first of all, tomatillos. What are they? They look like gift wrapped tomatoes, right? They're like the Chinese lanterns. Do you have those in your garden? Chinese lanterns? Sure, of course you do. Okay, they're like a tomato wrapped in a green tomato, in fact, wrapped in paper. I don't know how they do it, but they do. Anyway, you peel off this paper and wash these. These are kind of like a little bit of waxy, I don't know what it is on them, but that's how it is. And then I wash them off, chop them up. I just happen to have some already chopped. And I have a bowl here. So I have my chopped fresh tomatillos, which are a beautiful lime green. Now actually you could use these, now that I think of it, you could use these with the same ingredients that I added to the strawberries, or you could add these to the strawberries, okay? These have kind of a little bit of a tart flavor and slight sweetness. They're a little bit sweeter than a tomato, okay? A little bit more firm, just more of a, almost like a flowery flavor to them. Nice, very nice. Anyway, I have my tomatillos in the bowl, and I take a piece of ginger, fresh ginger, okay, about the size of my thumb, and I'll grate that. I've peeled it, as you notice, and I'll grate that to small, fairly small anyway, slices, okay, and then see sometimes you get some ginger and this has a little bit of a stringiness. Can you see that stringiness? See that? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this and chop it up. Actually, there's nothing wrong. It's, you know, it's a little bit fibrous. Ginger's a root, and I'll just chop it up, and then you won't have that. Okay. I suppose I could have just chopped it in the first place, but it's nice like this. Okay, a little fresh ginger. Right, and this time instead of a lime, I use a lemon. So the fact that the lemon, the lime, the flavor of a lime is more, what would you say, like fruity, flowery almost, you know, and a lime is more of a straight-on tart taste, you know, without as much of the floral flavor of the lime. Can't talk. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to squeeze it. This one you need to strain. For some reason my limes have no seeds, so it's nice. I don't need to use the strainer, but lemons have seeds. Okay, so squeeze the juice of one lemon. You could use a little vinegar in this if you don't like the lemon taste. You could use vinegar. You can use vinegar in anything. You just need a little bit of a sour taste. I happen to like the taste of the fruit better. Okay, tiny bit of salt. Maybe half a teaspoon of salt. Okay, all right. Okay, now this is the base, like the basic salsa. This is where I have an option to where I could add, I have some cilantro here. I could add fresh basil to this, fresh fennel. I'm going to add a little bit of jalapeno to bring up a little bit of heat. That's optional. Okay, and what I'm trying to say here is that I want you to be able to mix, to decide what you're cooking. Okay, if you're having something that's maybe like an Asian dish, add cilantro. Okay, lemongrass will go nicely in there. If you're having something that's more like Middle Eastern or Mediterranean, try some fresh basil. Fresh mint goes wonderfully in here. So I just want to give you some ideas. But for now, hey, no, that's something else. I'm going to try, I'll put a little bit of cilantro in here. I don't want to be repetitive, but like I said, you know, this is where your creativity comes in and your ability to mix and match the dishes that you're mixing. So a little bit of cilantro. If you're serving a hot dish, I know I say these, some of these things are not exactly repetitive, but if you're serving a hot dish, take a little bit of sugar, okay? A little bit of sugar, maybe a teaspoon, okay? Teaspoon of sugar in there. The sugar has a cooling effect. So if you're serving something that's really pungent, really hot, the sugar will cool it and balance it, okay? What you strive for in a meal is balance. Okay, if you like hot food, that's fine. But if you serve everything hot, there's no contrast, no balance. Okay, so for this would be a salsa that would be good, as it is now, for a fiery hot dish. Okay, now this would add a cooling balance. Also, if you're serving something maybe a little bit on the bland side, so say you have a meal, you have rice, which is kind of bland, you have maybe a curry vegetables or something like a really spicy enchilada or something, then maybe you want to add a little more of the acid, right? A little more lemon juice to that, and that will add a balance. So you have your bland food, something that's spicy, something that's tart, maybe a little bit of sweet, just use your imagination with these things. So this goes well with Asian, Mexican, Mediterranean foods. Not as much Mediterranean, but it can go. Like I said, with the fresh basil, even a touch of oregano in there, then you can serve it with your pasta. Okay, so you got your basic tomatillo salsa. Now I want to make one. Actually, this one will bring us to the Mediterranean. This one's an onion salsa. Could also be called an onion relish. Okay, so I have some chopped white onion. Okay, see how nice and white that is? Okay, you can use a red onion. Red onion's nice. Yellow onion. Those. You can use a combination. I have a little bit of balsamic vinegar. Okay, I'm going to add maybe, looks like 2 tablespoons, right? Balsamic vinegar. For this one, I like a little sugar. Okay, teaspoon and a half of sugar. A little bit of salt. Okay, and now what makes this, now the balsamic vinegar, you let this with the sugar marinate. You let the onions marinate with this. You should make this the night before you're going to serve it, okay? Just to let all the flavors blend, and the marinating with the sugar and the vinegar helps to cut some of the harshness from the raw onion, okay? To make it a little more palatable. All right, now I have some fresh rosemary and fresh sage. Okay, now rosemary is an evergreen. Similar, it looks similar to like pine. Pine. It has needles. It's tough. So I take some of the needles. The stems are tough. All right. So I separate the needles. Discard the stem. Now the tops of it. This is fairly tender. See the top of it? Okay. So I'll just use some of the tops. One thing with herbs, and especially the sage in this dish, is you want to add a little at a time. Okay, you can always add more. It's very difficult to take something out of a dish. I've made a mistake before. I dearly love salt, but I've made dishes before with too much salt. Then what do? You take half of it and you set it aside, then you make another one without salt. It's really tough. And I've learned over the years to moderate and add a little at a time, So with the sage in this one, I like to add a little and then bring the flavor up. Let it sit overnight. In the morning, taste it. If it doesn't appeal to you that way, then add some more. So I just chopped the rosemary, put that in there, teaspoon or so.